Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the fourth installment of my rewatches of these Phantasm films, in which I try to kind of make a little bit more sense of them, try to wrap my head around them, because though I've always enjoyed them, there are various aspects of them that just kind of went right over my head, or details that I missed, and a lot of things that I just didn't quite understand. So, for this entry, I will be covering Phantasm 4, Oblivion from 1998. So we have about a 4-year break from part 3 on this one, and leaving us at a cliffhanger as usual. And the synopsis for this that I found is quite simple. It simply states, Mike travels through time and dimensions to find the tall man's origins. Okay, not a lot to go on there, but that's pretty much the core of what's kind of going on at this point in this film series. So, and where it actually really shines as well. I think they really opened things up pretty well. So, as with both part 3 before this and 2 before that, we begin with a recap of what had happened before, what had kind of led up to this film. It does kind of rush past a few things, though, to get us on track. So basically, we get a lot of cool flashbacks, particularly from part 1, which includes some footage I don't recognize. From what I remember hearing, they used some previously unused footage from the first film for some of those flashbacks. We get a lot more kind of clarification of what the tall man has been doing, harvesting the dead, and they also play it that Jodie was taken from them and turned into that ball like we saw in the last film, and that the tall man wants to turn Mike kind of into somebody on his side, one of his beings to control. So I guess Jodie didn't die in the car accident after all? Okay, so I guess there was, because in the first film they said, we had all that stuff, and then they said he died in a car accident. Now they're just saying he was taken. So the ending of it is still a bit confusing to me from the first film, especially some stuff with Reggie and all that. But anyways, so Mike, of course, he has this ball in his head and such, and he just kind of takes off, trying to get away from people so he can't hurt them. Reggie, who was last seen kind of pinned against a wall by all those balls, and then the tall man is walking in. He basically is spared because the tall man says that he has other plans for him. So that's a way to keep him in the story, I guess. But it was interesting because they kind of didn't even mention the blonde girl from part 2, and they didn't mention the kid or Rocky from part 3 on all those flashbacks as they bring us up to what's kind of happening in this film. And of course we get lots more flashbacks along the way from Mike's point of view, stuff that he's remembering from the first film especially. There is mention of the car wreck that Jodie was in, but that after that car wreck, that's when the tall man had taken his body to turn him into that ball. Still kind of confusing, but and though we catch up with Reggie, he's just kind of seems done with this whole thing, and Jodie has been basically trying to convince him to go after Mike to track him down before the tall man gets to him. And so that's where we kind of pick up. It's like, this is where we're going to head out. We are continuing on this road trip against evil to find Mike before the tall man does. Okay, so we have a goal to head for here, even though just like the previous 2 films and the ending of the first, things were a little bit confusing to get going. So things play actually pretty straight from here on out, for a while at least. We see, this story and the history kind of expanded quite a bit, involving Mike being able to time travel or seeing into the past, to the Civil War, where Jebediah Morningside had, is also played by Angus Scrimm, our tall man, kind of seeing where he began. And it's a great way to kind of open up this whole storyline a bit more. And also Mike now has powers similar to the Force, so that's new. But that's cool, because you can kill scorpions with rocks. So anyways, it's revealed during this time travel / alternate dimension travels that he's going on that Jesse in fact did not die in the car wreck, that was a lie, that he was simply taken, kind of grabbed like Mike was at the end of part 1. We even get a scene that was previously unused showing him being confronted by the tall man at the end of that first film. But I'm still, like I said, a bit fuzzy on what really happened, since I believe Reggie was stabbed by the blonde woman in the first movie, which turned out to be the tall man. I can just end up talking in circles on this and it still won't make any sense. But, we still have that confusion about what's real, what's not, what's kind of in a dream state, what's in an alternate dimension, what's even happening in this world, since we don't really see many other characters here. I'm still holding on to that weird theory of mine that some of this isn't quite really happening. Anyways, Mike is doing this time travel stuff now to see if there's a way to, since he can't really seem to kill the tall man, can he prevent him from kind of existing in the first place by tracing back to where Jebediah Morningside was, seeing how he developed a portal, had stepped through it, but by the time he came back through, at that point he was the tall man. So maybe there's a way that he can stop the tall man from ever existing by doing this time travel. And then it's eventually learned that Jodie in fact did die in the car wreck, like we were told at the end of the first film. We get more transdimensional travel, more time travel stuff going on, lots of weird stuff going on as usual. From what I gather, Jodie was kind of used as a way to get Reggie to help find Mike for the tall man. If I'm remembering that right, I literally only watched it yesterday and already some of the details are starting to fade. But anyways, it went from kind of clearing up some things at the beginning and kind of playing things straight for a while to throwing in a lot of other strange stuff and twists and turns throughout the rest of this whole thing, especially looking back at the previous films and trying to link up certain aspects of them. But it still plays pretty well and feels like if one had actually skipped parts 2 and 3, they could still enjoy this one more as like a direct sequel to part 1. It is a little bit slow in the middle 30 minutes, but by the time we get towards that last 30 minutes, it does seem to pick up a bit more. We get a bit more action going on. And we get them attempting to kill the tall man, blowing everything up. But of course he survives, takes the ball out of Mike's head, and just slowly walks off and vanishes through a portal. So now we got Reggie determined to destroy him, going through the portal after the tall man. And Mike, now that this ball has been removed from his head, is seemingly dying and having flashbacks of what his life was like as a kid before all of this stuff had started. So we get some more of the previously unused footage used to show that flashback of him meeting up with Reggie, and the film kind of wraps with this flashback of him and Reggie just kind of riding off into the dark. It's still a lot of fun. Like I said, we had some more straightforward stuff within it, but then they threw in these, left turns here and there that still kind of confused me a bit. But, next up I'll be dealing with part 5. So, part 5, Ravager, I remember enjoying that one. The last time I saw it was, I believe, almost about a year ago now. And from what I remember, it actually wraps things up pretty nicely. It has something to do with like these alternate dimensions, as well as Reggie dealing with dementia. I think we have a really long gap of maybe 12 to 15 years from one film to the other as far as when they were produced. But anyways, that's all that I got for this quick one here. Be sure to like and subscribe and get a notification for when I put up that final installment, which will be in another week or two. But sound off in the comments, what's your take on this entry? Did it make sense to you? Is it clear? Did it make some of the aspects of parts of like the first 3 make more sense to you now or less sense? Or at this point, are you just along for the ride to see whatever they want to do with Tall Man and flying balls drilling into people's heads and everything? Anyways, that's all I got for this one, so thanks for coming by and for sticking around to the end, and I will see you in the next one.